What's the first thing you think of when you come to Missouri? It might be Cardinals baseball, or our capital in Jefferson City, or it could be the best place in the world, Kansas City, Missouri. Did you know, as reported by the Kansas City Barbecue Society, that Kansas City has more barbecue restaurants per capita than any other city in the United States? Home to successful sporting teams such as the Royals, Sporting KC, and the Chiefs. The best place to go if you're looking to pork down some delicious barbecue, as mentioned. Let me introduce you to Kansas City. Here today I will take you through the history of KC, my personal experiences in KC, and I will talk a little bit about the sports teams. KC originally started as a fur trading post along the river, and the Santa Fe Trail came through here. That's how they began. A small town of, well, not even a town, a village of about 200. And then people began laying down cabins and settling in. And then in 1838, they officially became a town. It was originally called the town of Kansas. And other possible names that they considered were Possum Trot and Rabbitville. So I'm glad they went with town of Kansas, I guess. The original big area of Kansas City was Westport, which was where all the trading came through. It was basically the big trading port of the Midwest. And there was a big Civil War battle that happened at Westport. It was called the Gettysburg of the West. The city population boomed, though, after they built a bridge over the Missouri River. Kansas City's first mayor was William S. Gregory. He was born in the early 1800s, and he died in 1887. He was responsible for building a lot of major buildings and writing the city's charter, along with signing the city's first laws. But 8 months into office, he had to resign because the charter said that the mayor couldn't live outside the city lines. And he was replaced by Johnston Lincoln. But enough about the history and the facts. I am a product of KC, and I would like to tell you about it. I feel like you always have attachments to your hometown or your place of birth. I only lived in KC for 6 years, but it had a major impact on me and made me the person I am. I lived in 2 homes in Kansas City. One I lived in until I was about 2, and then the other 4 years in this new home. And the only thing I can remember about my second home was I lived right by a huge road that had a huge slope, and I would go outside and play with toy balls and stuff. And then I would always get super frustrated because I would lose the ball down the hill and then it was never seen again. That happened 20 times. And the third topic, a huge influence in the KC area, is the sports teams. The main ones being the Chiefs, the football team, Sporting KC, who play in the MLS, and the Royals. The Chiefs are owned by Clark Hunt, and the Chiefs have been handed down by the Hunts for their whole existence. Started as an AFL team, which stands for American Football League, back in the 60s. They were called the Dallas Texans, and they moved to KC in 1963. They actually represented the AFL in the first Super Bowl, back when it was the AFL versus the NFL. And they won their first Super Bowl in 1969. But they haven't had a lot of success since, only making the playoffs twice in the last 30 years or something like that. And a recent story that came out with the Chiefs was a success story. Chiefs safety Eric Berry, last year he came down with form of cancer, and he was out for a year, and most people thought that his football career was over, but he worked hard, even with cancer, to keep his weight up so that he could play football, and he came back and he won Comeback Player of the Year. The next team is Sporting KC. They're actually in Kansas. They've existed for 20 years, and they've been very successful. They've won 3 titles, and they had 3 or 4 players play for Team USA in the FIFA World Cup recently. And the best team is the Royals. I don't know, you've probably gone to see the Royals play, but they're really exciting, and they just won the World Series just recently. And if you're ever looking to find out about good baseball players, look up the name George Brett and you'll find a historic player. In closing, Kansas City has changed my life, and it's made me who I am. I'm proud of it. I'm glad that I could teach you about the rich history of Kansas City.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you, Peyton.